Okay, everybody, this is Sheets, and this is going to be something, I guess, a little different, but maybe not, just kind of in the same vein of just continuing to educate you guys on new things that are going on and new products and new ways to think about gambling and new ways to think about sports and things like that. I want to introduce you to Tim and Chris. I'm going to butcher the last name. I never even thought of it. I was going to say, I could just say they're legends, but I'm sure I've never heard that one before. So Tim and Chris, how do we pronounce this?
So we try to remove as much of the French as possible. We say Legendre.
Legendre. Okay. Yeah. Very nice. These guys both used to be poker. I think at least one of them, they both used to be poker guys. I know them back from the poker days, and they have something pretty exciting that they've been working on for quite some time. That might seem familiar to you guys because there are other products that are sort of like it, but maybe there's a little bit different. So I want to introduce them and just kind of let them take it away. I'll enable them the ability to share their screen and advanced sharing options. All participants can share screen, multiples, and we should be good. All right, so Tim, Chris, what do you got?
Super. Well, appreciate the opportunity to be here. So yes, both Chris and I have a background in poker and sports betting. Chris is the one who's actually skilled at it. I can't say the same for myself. My background's a little bit different in that I also worked for several years in financial services. And that's part of the reason that this idea came together. Chris and I were looking at the betting odds a couple of years ago for the Masters. And I was identifying odds that I thought were attractive and odds that I didn't think were quite as attractive. And being someone that had worked in financial markets in the past, I said, boy, I wish I could short this. I wish I could short sell. So for folks that aren't familiar, short selling is just betting against a stock, let's say, for lack of a better way to put it. You think the value of the stock is going to go down. And I desired to short these odds that I thought represented an overvalued proposition as it related to the player's prospects. So from there, we started to sketch out the idea a little bit further of developing this quote unquote stock market for golf specifically. I think we've got some nice applications to other sports, but we started with golf. And we realized that for golf in particular, there were a lot of synergies, if you will, between financial markets and the sport of professional golf. So just to give you an idea as to how the platform works in a nutshell. So it works like a stock market. You're buying and selling players. We offer what we think is a pretty true experience. So you can buy and sell actively throughout the tournament. In other words, you could day trade golfers if you wanted to. But it also works for folks that just want to buy and hold. If you just want to buy some of your favorite players and see how things pan out, you can certainly do that too. But we think it's particularly attractive to folks that want to actively trade. And golf provides a really good experience there in that if you think about a golf leaderboard, if you're watching Sunday at the Masters, there's a lot of movement up and down the leaderboard. Players are getting close to the top or falling down the leaderboard. And that's very similar to financial markets where you have, let's say, stock prices going up and down constantly. And in financial market parlance, that's called volatility. So golf really drives volatility, which is essential for this being a fun platform. So think about if you were trading stocks and you had the stock of company XYZ at $50 and it never went up and down, it just stayed at $50. One, that's kind of boring. And two, you can't make any money trying to buy low and sell high. And golf gives you that volatility where you have players going up and down. And in those rare cases where, especially if we think back to the Tiger Woods days where Tiger would win a tournament by, 10, 15 shots, you still have volatility further down the leaderboard. So by using our platform, you could take what is otherwise maybe a boring golf tournament where the outcome looks guaranteed, but trade other tournaments within the tournament. So the race for second place or the battle to make the cut. And Chris has some interesting anecdotes there about how interesting our platform is just to speculate on if guys are going to make the cut. But just a couple other high-level points before Chris maybe fills in with a couple anecdotes, which I think are very useful, given his background more on the sports betting and poker side of things, whereas I'm more the financial geek in the family, hence the chunky glasses. But in any event, that's how it works in a nutshell. Chris, I don't know if you want to jump in with a couple of your anecdotes.
Chris, before you jump in, let me comment on a couple of things which I found interesting, which I brought up to you in one of our other meetings. What's very unique about golf from a sweat perspective, and that's what we're talking about here, sort of. Is you can make the same type of case for any sport in that, boy, it would be nice to at some point during the course of a game, hedge or short something, or just kind of like rebet given like what's been going on during the game. Okay. However, you have some sports like basketball, which the action moves just so fast. Okay. That even by the time you even think about what you want to do, like the entire game condition could have changed, and what's kind of cool about golf is that there's that inherent pause in the action, okay, that allows you to sit and breathe, okay, and think about what's going on. You're like, okay, so he's in the sand. No one's shooting for like a little bit, you know what I mean? So you have a little bit of time to assess, and your platform or a platform does not have to be so ridiculously robust that it has to update in like every nanosecond. Like, let's just say, take it to the extreme. If you were going to make a market and say like college basketball or something like that, with like 100 games going at one time and all this action going on, it would require an insane platform to do that. But with something like golf, it's kind of cool because there is that kind of, it is a slow moving sport, like slow enough that you can take advantage of opportunities without driving yourself bananas.
Absolutely. Just to add a little context there, Sheets, before Chris takes it away here. And I am screen sharing. Is that correct?
No, I don't see you're sharing anything.
No. Oh, okay. Let's see. Am I enabled here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me just go ahead and share.
There you go.
Okay, so this is one of the screens for the platform here. And I just wanted to provide a couple other background points here to help out with the discussion. So what drives value for these players is how much prize money that they're going to earn at the end of the tournament. So
that's interesting.
Here we have the end of tournament payouts. So for example, here with this week's Phoenix Open, the first prize is 1.47 million. So the player that wins the tournament is going to have what I call a final value or a final payout on the platform here of $147. So everything correlates to the prize money. That's what drives value here. So it's not a complicated fantasy point scheme where you have to do 10 calculations in your head. That I think speaks to the simplicity here, which I think it dovetails nicely with what you said, that you can take a moment to breathe and assess, and then ultimately you get what we call in financial market terms price discovery. This is a platform that very easily lends itself to price discovery for these players. Now, real quick, if you're looking at all these current prices here on the platform, of course, what we have on the left are what the payouts will be at the end, but what's driving these prices is supply and demand. So these are all the participants in our market. These are our users speculating on what the final prices would be. So naturally, you would see a more regarded player here like Brooks Koepka having a slightly higher starting price than even Charlie Hoffman, who's accomplished himself. And we could talk about whether these prices right now represent good value. Again, this is the free market, and every user on here is trying to beat the market. That's what you do on the stock market or any financial market for that matter. You're trying to beat the collective intelligence of the market. So I just wanted to lay that out there to give folks a little more color as to how the nuts and bolts work here. But, Chris, in terms of the trading action, anything you've noticed with some of the simulations and the beta tests we've run here over the course of the last couple of weeks with the recent tournaments?
Yeah, I'd say, the first 3 days of the tournament are very interesting, but our day 4s get extremely exciting. We weren't running a simulation for this tournament, but the DP World Tour Championship in Dubai, which was in late November, to give an example of the volatility we can experience, we had Rory at -17 on hole 15, looking like he was, a lock to win or get second place. So with a top payout of $147, he'd be trading at about $125, $130 on our platform. Then, as we know, he implodes, hits the flag stick, rips his shirt open, all that good stuff. And he finished T6, which would be a settlement price of $27. So, if you were ambitious enough to short him around $130, that's a great payout per contract. And, similar competitors, you wouldn't get that kind of volatility, even if they sort of offer a stock market-like experience. I think on Jock Market, for example, he would have got the number one $25 payout, but would drop to 2 or 3 with the implosion in their scoring system.
Well, well, since you brought them up, so what is the difference between the way something like Jock Market works and something like your platform works?
I mean, to me, from a high level perspective, the key differences are one, because they run on a fantasy points system. It's a little more complicated. So you have to do several calculations in your head before you can decide, okay, where do I want to buy or maybe even sell short at? And I think because of that, and then secondarily, because as Chris alluded to there, with Jock Market, it's more of a points accumulation system. So I don't think you're going to have as robust of a short market there, because even with Rory's quote unquote implosion, he only fell a couple spots in the standings, according to how Jock Market works. Whereas with us, you could have gone you could have shorted Rory at 120, and then I forget what Chris said the final settlement was, but significantly lower. So you can book a really big profit there just with a little move in the up and down the leaderboard. So I think that's a key difference. We're going to have a more robust short side of the market, and really, I think it's just a little bit more simple here in how we correlate directly to the prize money, which is a little bit more akin to financial markets. So if you think about the futures market, the futures traders, for example, are speculating on the price of a barrel of oil or the price of a bar of gold. That's all we're doing here. We're just speculating on prices. We don't have this complex scheme, and we haven't created a scarce asset as well. So it's not like there's a fixed number of shares for any of these players. We're simply creating a mechanism for folks to speculate on the final prices.
So you say that it's driven by supply and demand, but no one's going to bid more than 147.60, right? I mean, you would think, right? So on the one hand, it's driven by supply and demand, but the supply and demand is bounded by zero and the 147.60. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's the cool thing that you would know well, Sheets, being a long short hedge fund manager. If you short a stock, it in theory could go to infinity, and therefore your losses in theory could go to infinity. But if you're taking a short position here, while it is generally riskier than going long, your losses are bounded because a player can only go as high as this 147.60 here for this particular tournament. So I think that's a unique feature. Likewise, too, the fact that this is a liquid market, so you can cut your losses. An example I was thinking of before we went on, I think you share this view, but Jordan Spieth to me looks a little bit overvalued, at least as far as where our markets have them. Let me pull him up here. So let's say you wanted to short Jordan Spieth, okay, which I think is a good short. Oops, sorry. I think that's a nice short here with him trading at 19 bucks right now on our platform. And you say to yourself, wow, that's a risky proposition. Jordan's won several majors. Even though he's not doing great necessarily right now, he could easily win this tournament. And that looks like a huge loss. But remember, these are liquid markets. So if he stormed off to the lead here today, you could cut your losses and cover that short. So just because he jumps out to the lead today, he's not going to jump all the way to 147 because no one would be compelled to buy him at that price level. So it's both sides of the market here. They're creating this price discovery where ultimately, let's say Jordan has a 2-shot lead at the end of the day. Maybe that $19 that you see there goes up to 30, 35, and that's getting a little uncomfortable for you as a short seller. Cover that short, and then you're out of the trade. You can move on to a different trade.
Now what provides the liquidity? I mean, like, do you guys provide the liquidity? Do the users provide the liquidity? What exactly provides the liquidity?
Yeah, so it's peer-to-peer, like all the markets, but even like financial markets that are extremely liquid, the most traded stocks still have market makers. So when we go to live money, this is just play money right now. We're still working on our licensing, but once it's live money, we are going to have market makers that will be helping to set the prices. Again, just like any other financial marketplace out there.
Nice.
But so in its truest form, it is supply and demand. It's the market participants that are driving prices up and down. But for those that aren't familiar with how market makers work, they just sort of grease the wheels a little bit.
So you are right now, I don't want to call it in beta testing. Is that the best way to describe your state right now? Or you ran simulations with some users, right? You did something, right?
Yeah, so that's a fair statement. But we do have users in here making, participating in these markets. They're not market making, but so the prices that you see here are being driven by supply and demand for the users that we have on the platform right now.
No, but that's what I'm asking. Like, so the state of the product, the state of the company. You know what I mean? Like when you say when we go live, right? So like right now, are you running like test tournaments or like what?
Yeah, so anyone can log in. It's all fun money right now. So if you log in, you get credited with $10,000 in play money. We're hoping to be able to accept deposits by the summertime. So just a couple things we need to do with regard to licensing and regulation, but we're generating a lot of interest here, a lot of momentum. So we think that's not too far off in the distant future.
Nice.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Do you have any questions for these guys, Bobby?
No, I mean, I'm interested in this whole thing. Some of it is a little bit not over my head, but just things that I haven't really done. I haven't spent much time on the jock market stuff myself, but I do think it's really interesting, and I think this is like so you're playing it. So everything would be done in a tournament setting. I'm trying to figure out how how it works for. Okay, I just started playing. I want to get involved in this. Can you take me back to the home screen and just maybe take me through that process a little bit?
Yeah, so I think the best thing to do. So if you're a new user, as you see here, you're gonna have $10,000 in play money loaded. And I think the best way to try it out is pick a couple of your favorite players and maybe just buy a couple contracts and see how that pans out over the course of the tournament.
Give him an example. Give him an example. Pretend you're like a user. You're going in here and you want to do something.
Yeah, you bet. So this was all designed, the interface here is set up to look like an online broker. So like Fidelity.com, Schwab.com, or even Robinhood. So even with something like Robinhood, if someone's new to the financial markets and new to trading, there's a little bit of an education there, some basic terms that you need to master. But there's nothing super challenging there anyone should be intimidated about. Especially too, because other elements of our platform are so simple, where you're simply speculating on prize money. So in some respects, we keep it very simple. In others, it's maybe just a little bit of education. Of course, we've got a glossary here, and then I've got a couple how-to videos that folks can take a look at. But to give you a live demonstration here, this is the home screen with your 10K in play money. Let's go ahead and place a trade. So if we're moving left to right here, we go to our trade screen. This is where we have our list of players. So I'm going to back out and show you the full list. This is
look, Russell Henley's off. He's +1. I think he'll do better than that. So let's pull up Russell Henley.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd mention Russell. So let's take a look at Russell here. All right, there we have Mr. Henley at 1186. So to give you some perspective there, the way the prize money is set up here. So 1186, that's right around top 20. So if you bought him right now at 1186 and he finished top 20 or better, you'd be in the green, you'd be making money. Less than that, you'd be losing some. But again, these are non-binary propositions. So if he comes in worse than top 20, you don't lose everything. You only lose a little bit. So it's very much like stock trading there too, where you have a whole range of outcomes. You can make a little bit of money, a lot of money, or lose just a little bit of money. Hopefully not a lot of money, but certainly possible. But if we look at Mr. Henley here and click on him, it might take just a moment to load. So there are a couple simple elements here, one complex element. So we try to keep it simple here, like I said, akin to a Fidelity.com. Are you going to buy or are you going to sell short? Again, for folks new to markets, selling short simply means you think the value will go down. and I've got a tutorial on that. But for advanced traders, you might appreciate this sheets. We've got the order book here.
Yeah.
So the markets are very transparent. You can see where all the supply and demand is for folks. I don't want to spend too much time here because it is a little bit advanced, but we try to give some of the bells and whistles for experienced traders, but at the same time, keep it simple. So we think Russell's a good value. Let's go ahead and buy Russell.
So wait, go back to that for a second. Go back to that screen for a
Sure.
second. So just as an example, Bob, I don't know how much you've ever done this. So for this order book, let's just say you wanted to buy like 100 shares of him, right? So you'd have to look at that and you'd say, ooh, even though the ask is 12.27, you're not going to be able to buy all 100 at 12.27, right? You only can buy right now like 29 of them at 12.27. That's according to the order book as it is now. Now, once you put that in for 29, the order book can change and whatever. But that's like kind of what this order book is. So it gives you kind of a sense of how liquid that 12.27 is. Like if the 12.27 was showing, like 150, then it's very likely that the next one, you know what I mean, is going to be probably closer to that or something like that. But there's ways to interpret it. But that's what this order book is basically.
Mhm.
And I'd be curious too to jump in. Chris, ask you a question. So, you've done a little bit of trading here and there over the years, but don't have the benefit of working for Fidelity for 10 years like I did.
Yeah.
Did you find, in terms of just really getting up to speed here with trading and markets, I mean, was there anything you really found challenging, or did you find it pretty easy to grasp and maybe speak also to the carryover between the betting and gambling you've done over the years in this, any similarities?
Sure,
or
yeah.
contrasts
I
you
would say for a new user, it takes a little bit of playing around in there to kind of get comfortable with it. But yeah, certainly not too challenging at all. And I don't know, from being from the poker and sports betting world where you're used to, doubling up or cashing in a tournament or losing your whole buy-in, it is nice to maybe only lose like 30%. That's I can get used to just losing that amount, not getting wiped out.
Yeah, what was that? You mentioned something, Chris, about a guy that gave you a stock tip a couple of years ago. What was that story?
Oh, yeah. So yeah, just quick story, got a stock tip. First night, went down 20%. Obviously, the kid sent me like paragraphs of apologies. And I'm like, I down 20%. I don't care. I'm used to sports bet. You bet $100, you lose $100. Like, this is fine by me.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting crossover. I think we're going to get a lot of crossover users because when sports were shut down, we saw a lot of anecdotes about people switching over to day trading, whether it was Dave Portnoy over a Barstool and all the attention that got. So, I think we potentially have a unique captive audience that could really get addicted to this platform. At least I certainly hope so. But
Okay, so wait, so we're back buying Russell Henley. So what are we doing?
yes. Okay, so we're bullish on Russell. Let's go ahead and buy. And then this screen is also going to look similar to a basic online broker. The market for new folks, market order, that's basically just the buy now option. I want to buy it now. Whereas a limit order says, okay, I want to buy, but maybe I want the price to come down a little bit. So there's a little bit of a nuance here for traders, but for a beginner, you're pretty safe just buying at the market, especially because it's play money. So then you simply enter in the number of contracts you want to buy. Let's see, is that showing up correctly? I'm just going to move my screen there. Okay. So let's punch in 10 contracts for Russell. So the estimated execution price is going to be $12.27. That's based on the most recent price of $11.86. So the total trade here is going to cost you $123 and change. Slight commission, some play money commission, but when this is with live money, that's how it's going to work. It's a commission system. So if we place the buy at the market here for Mr. Henley, we get a quick double check here to confirm. And then if we go back to, so we bought 10 contracts. If we go back to our home screen here, we now have Russell Henley listed under our positions. So based on the execution price we had, we've got just a slight loss because we had to pay a commission. So this is a cost basis system here, like online brokers, where it factors in your commission. But we just placed the trade. You're basically even, just a little sliver of a loss here due to the commission. Now, we also show this information here. If the tournament ended right now, where would you be? Most of the other sites do this. I've seen it on DraftKings, everything, Jock Market. So this is just sort of a standard feature. And it's so early in the tournament right now. This is effectively meaningless, but we still show it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I want to play around with this thing. I'm sure I'll have
Can you get on this and like play with us with play money?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll share the link now. I can do it again, but it's https://tourtraderpro.com.
Okay.
That's going to take you here. You can look at most of the screens without even setting up an account, but we would welcome you to set up an account. You get your 10K in play money, and it's real trading. We have folks that are active on here that are making markets for us. So it's going to be a very realistic simulation for you.
Yeah, we'll be starting with prizes in the near future here too. Just, something small for the best portfolios.
Yep. Just to get folks excited, going to start doing some payouts here for best portfolios, as Chris mentioned, which you can see how you're doing. So a couple other features, you can look at the current standings relative to other traders that are in there right now. So these are the top few. There hasn't been much action here, so everyone's pretty close to 10,000. But you can compare yourself against your peers. We can look back to last week's tournament. I think we have the farmers in there too. So we've got all our top traders that you can compare yourselves to.
Yeah, we've got
and then another thing that's helpful
play money
too
sharks in there.
What's that, Chris?
I said we got some play money sharks in there that are.
Oh, there are some play money sharks to be sure. Maybe a little bit overly competitive.
Yeah.
But you can look too at the latest trade. So here's the trade we just placed for Henley, and it shows where we executed at. You can look at top traded by volume. This isn't as helpful because if you're trading a lower rank guy, or I like to call them like the penny stocks, that's going to be a lot of contracts. But
Sheets calls them the dumpster divers.
The dumpster divers, which, that's a good segue. I want to talk about that because of the non-binary way that our contracts pay out. This is a really great platform to speculate on those dumpster divers, as Chris calls them, or the long shots. And to give you an example, let me go back to the trade page here. So I'm just going to look at the entire list of folks that are available. This I think is maybe the hidden gold here with our platform. So I'm going to go just down the list here, just as an example here. So Anirban Lahiri, he's been playing a lot this year, playing okay, I think. You could pick him up for $1.36 here. So all he has to do for you to break even is basically make the cut. In fact, I think that represents a small profit. If he went all the way up to top 20, you'd be looking at a $10 payout, so almost a tenfold increase. If he ends up making the top 10 in the tournament, that's a 20 bagger right there. So this dumpster diving stuff can get very exciting here.
Wow, that's really cool. I think it's actually I would love to try this out. Actually, I think that'd be really fun. I need to play around with it before I understand how everything works perfectly, but I do think that's really cool.
That's good. Well, you got a couple months to practice before we have real money trading.
So again, what I think I'm just going to do, I'm just going to post this, I guess, in the golf section, just to see if anybody, is interested in general, and they could sign up for a free account or whatever by just going to that link that you said, and we'll just continue to track the progress of this, and if this goes live, then we'll maybe we might be including this in our videos one of these days.
Yeah, is there a way we could track versus a certain group? Like, let's just say we had people signing up through us or something like that. I don't care about any sort of, not talking about a partnership, saying like, I think that people would get a kick out of it who follow us on our server to maybe compete against each other and see how they're doing versus the other guys, including me and Sheets or whoever else.
Yeah, we could definitely build a private group where folks can compete against each other. In fact, that was some of the feedback we got after the first simulation. Would love to maybe just have a group of traders, if we had, maybe have a little chat function in there. So that's coming for sure. We can definitely help you measure yourself against your peer group and talk a little trash, what have you.
Love it. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks very much, guys. We'll have you back on as we get closer to you guys being live, and that'll do it. I'll stay in touch with you guys offline as well.
Super. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate the time.
All right. See you later.